Hey everybody, welcome back for more SCP content, specifically more from the End of Death hub. Now, like I said, I do plan on avoiding a lot of the major storyline of the End of Death hub because I don't want anything spoiled, but there's a lot of peripheral pages to get into here. So in this one we have SCP-049-Omega K. So this is the SCP-049 that we all know and love, the plague doctor who tries to cure pestilence by killing people. But the End of Death has affected him in a rather unique way. Let's take a look. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-049 has been granted Level 2 clearance and is allowed to work up to 30 hours a week as clerical staff or as surgical consult within Site-19's medical bay. While working, SCP-049 is to be supervised by at least one armed guard personnel at all times. When not within Site-19's medical bay, SCP-049 is to remain within a standard humanoid containment chamber in Research Sector 02. Weekly visits from a Level 3 approved psychiatrist have been scheduled. Description: SCP-049 is a humanoid entity roughly 1.9 meters in height, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While SCP-049 appears to be wearing the thick robes and the ceramic mask indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of SCP-049's body over time and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-049 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. 049 is capable of speech in a variety of languages, though tends to prefer English or medieval French. While 049 is generally cooperative with Foundation personnel, it will commonly enter periods of lethargy and apathy. 049 was capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact, and possessed an obsession in pursuing a cure for what it referred to as the pestilence. These effects have not been observed to manifest since the onset of Omega K. We have an incident report. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, for one, because I generally encourage people to read some of the in-depth content, but also because I'm just plain awful at voice acting. On September 12th, 2020, 049 entered a manic state and began pounding on the doors of its containment chamber, demanding to speak with Dr. Itkin. While waiting for meeting arrangements to be finalized, 049 proceeded to destroy its desk and damage the frame of its bed. The doctor enters the room and says, "What the hell's gotten into you?" 49 says, "I apologize for my outburst earlier. I was overcome by emotion." He says, "I no longer have access to a necessary component of my cure." And they go back and forth, the doctor's not understanding, and 049 says, "Please allow me to demonstrate." He begins approaching the doctor, who repeatedly orders him to sit down and stay away. So 049 insists, "Just a simple demonstration, if I may," and grabs his right shoulder. The doctor screams, and the guard fires 2 rounds into 049. And then the doctor realizes he was just touched and he's supposed to be dead, and he's not, so they dial the emergency line to the site director. Guard personnel was penalized for failing to restrain 049 prior to doctor engaging the object. Emphasis on special containment procedure training has been applied. I like this because it just adds a little bit of world building character. 049 suffered 2 gunshot wounds in its lower abdomen during the incident. Due to the object's unnatural biology and the sudden failure of general anesthesia, the planned surgery to remove the bullets and close the wounds was delayed. Following a 2-hour period of continued delays, 049 demanded to be allowed to treat itself. The request was granted. 049 was observed to conduct the procedure on itself using its own surgical instruments. The doctor was briefed on the recently discovered end-of-death scenario and prompted to speak to 049 24 hours after the completion of its procedure. So they go back and forth a little bit, and 049 talks about the pestilence and curing and all of that. And it turns out that 049 became aware of Omega K, the end of death, almost immediately before the doctor on the project even was aware of it. And 049 becomes a little self-degrading, I guess. It says, I should have been more forceful. For far too long, I attempted to earn you and your organization's good graces. I attempted being a model prisoner, and I followed your commands as much as I was able to, all without compromising my mission to cure the pestilence. It's only a matter of time before the pestilence consumes the world at large. It's due to my own folly that I must observe its effects, and I must observe as it affects all which I endeavored to save. I am deeply sorry. Soon you will be affected. 049 was returned to its containment chamber following a 2-week recovery period. In the months following Omega K, 049 was observed to exhibit common symptoms of depression, becoming lethargic, uninterested in inspecting its instruments, silent, and unwilling to speak about the pestilence. An appointment with the Site-19 Psychiatry Department was scheduled. 049 was diagnosed with depression after being found to have suffered multiple depressive episodes. No medication was prescribed due to the unknown effects it may have on the object's biology. Instead, 049 was initiated on a cognitive behavioral psychotherapy program with Dr. Isaac. Addendum 4. 049's condition was reassessed following a 6-month period where no notable improvements were noted. Dr. Isaac's reassessment concluded that the state of its depression had worsened and 049 had grown more apathetic and lethargic than when it was first diagnosed. So we have a proposal submitted by Dr. Isaac to the Ethics Committee. Proposal: allow 049 to act as a surgical consult for the Site-19 medical ward. 049 possesses an innate knowledge of human biology and has displayed its skill as a surgeon countless times. The entity is suffering extreme existential dread due to what it perceives as its failure to cure. By allowing it to work in the medical ward, I believe it will feel as if it is curing once more and may be beneficial to its state of health. So we have 6 yay votes, including Dr. Sumerian, nay vote, and abstaining. Notes: 049 has been permitted to work in the Site-19 medical wing as a clerical aide and surgical consult while under the direct supervision of at least one armed guard. 049's total weekly work hours must not exceed 30. 049 is to remain within the Site-19 medical wing without exception during its work hours, and physical contact with patients is strictly forbidden until further notice. Addendum 5. 049's reassignment appears to have partly assuaged its depressive symptoms. However, it is still prone to lethargic episodes following surgeries where the patient suffers from post-operation complications. This has been deemed satisfactory for the anomaly's mental health. Further action is considered unnecessary. This is interesting. We have a very famous SCP that, its major effect no longer happens under the end of death scenario, and in fact there becomes very little anomalous about it once things stop dying. I find it interesting that they approved this, but they place a limit on only working 30 hours a week and don't allow direct physical contact with patients, and also place an armed guard. A lot of that seems a little bit like security theater to me because, first of all, what's the armed guard going to do if you can't kill anybody? And what is 049 going to do to something if its only major anomalous effect no longer happens? In fact, you would think if 049 had contact with a patient and killed it, that the Foundation would look into using that as a means of euthanasia. But as we saw with the earlier episodes that we did on End of Death, it doesn't really seem like they're all that interested in doing things to challenge the status quo or to bring back death, so to speak. So that's an interesting little insight into the world of everything going on as the Foundation and life as a whole tries to come to terms with the end of death. So if you enjoyed that, I hope you did, because I enjoyed it. I like this little bit of canon from the Foundation. Do consider subscribing, and I'll be making SCP exclusive playlists to kind of separate the content for people who are specifically here for this lore and world building. And as always, I do welcome and appreciate your comments, recommendations, and other feedback. So if you enjoyed it, I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.